Welcome back to my lair. A few months ago, I made a video about the MLP Infection AU, the cookie virus, okay? Created by Anxiety Monster and based on an episode in the Friendship is Magic show wherein Rainbow Dash plays mean-spirited tricks and pranks on the unsuspecting members of the pony community, on literally everyone in town, until they decide to counterattack by pretending to be zombies. Only in this AU I'm talking about, they actually were zombies. There was no pretending involved. If you haven't seen that older video, I highly recommend you either check it out or go to Anxiety Monster's page on TikTok, and I think there's a few other places you can find it too. There's the whole comic, the whole story. This is technically part 2. Over the course of time, I've had a pretty good track record of artists reaching out to me or commenting under the videos I've made to tell me that they like the videos, which is so cool and like humbling and inspiring and makes me super happy. And I think in part it's because of how I present my videos. I've definitely seen reaction style videos where the YouTuber doesn't credit or engage with the artist at all. So I don't know, I just thought, quick PSA to any of you cool people who watch me, who might one day want to follow in my footsteps and take control of all of YouTube. Be nice to artists, tell people where to find them, support them, and give them $1 million. On that note, Anxiety Monster DM'd me, like yesterday, to tell me joyous news. The cookie virus is being continued, not on TikTok and not really in a comic format, but in more of a creepypasta style story write-up. So really quickly, I want everyone to comment. Thank you, Anxiety Monster. If you're watching this video and you haven't commented, thank you, Anxiety Monster. I'm going to personally I'm gonna look at that view counter, and if it's any different from the comment counter, you're all gonna get it. I won't ever upload again. I mean, that's not true. I'll upload every 10 minutes I'm kidding. Everyone comment, thank you, Anxiety Monster. We would be lost without you. So let's dive back into the insane world of zombies and diseased cookies. Really quickly though, would you mind just scooching a skosh down into the description of this video, where you will find a link tree with all my other socials like Instagram and Twitter and Tumblr and my other YouTube channels, plus some secret stuff that I have been working on for some time now. For example, I just released a website for an art collective that I have started here in my home state of Georgia. Appreciate all the guys, gals, and non-binary pals helping me create a monopoly as the only content creator, the only accounts on all of social media. We are Legion. The cookie virus, part 2. So there are a few images still, but it's a lot less. I didn't read it yet, but I kind of scrolled ahead and saw what we're talking about when we say that there's some images. So we have that to look forward to as well. Cool new art. Deep within the Everfree Forest, 4 little ponies trotted north. Zecora ventured ahead of Pinkie Pie and Rarity, a frail, sniffling Scootaloo draped over Rarity's back. Every pony worried about the health of their friend Applejack. The air was quiet, until the distant sound of hooves quickly trotting towards them came from within the forest. Zecora was in front of everyone in an instant, yak horn at the ready to scare off any infected. Wait. Zecora has a yak horn? Is Zecora hunting the yak folk? I remember there being like a whole species of yaks in the show. You know, yak song, not very long. Sing again. And I just keep repeating that. What episode was that? I think that was like the Christmas or the Christmas type episode. I don't know. Anyways, did Zecora kill one of the yak people, or did they maybe gift her a horn of one of their deceased to use as a cry of battle? I have no idea. Very strange. Yak horn at the ready to scare off any infected. The trotting grew closer until a familiar blue coat and rainbow mane could be seen. She's here. Twilight is here. Run! Rainbow Dash hurtled toward the ponies, yelling at them to flee, everyone quickly following her command. The group ran in fear for minutes before Zecora heaved out a demand to stop. I do not believe we are being chased. All ponies stop to hear what Rainbow Dash faced. Every pony slowed to a trot and then a stop, heaving and panting, looking at Rainbow Dash for an explanation. Rainbow stared at the ponies blankly, thinking hard about what to tell them. She couldn't stop the lies from spilling out of her mouth. I was taking care of Applejack when you guys left, and Twilight suddenly attacked us. Every pony looked at her in shock. How did you get away? Where's Applejack? Rarity asked. Rainbow gulped. I tried to pull Applejack on my back, but she refused. She said she would be too heavy for me to run and that we would both get eaten. So she heroically stayed behind as a sacrifice for me to get away. She didn't want to slow us down due to her sickness. I tried to argue with her, but she threw herself at Twilight, and I ran away before I could see her get devoured. Every pony stared at Rainbow in horror, then lowered their heads in grief. Every pony except Rarity, who just approached Rainbow, raising an eyebrow. And you two had this long argument while Twilight was just standing there? Every pony looked up at Rainbow again, and she sighed, tears welling up in her eyes. She's gone, Rarity. Rainbow's pain shook Rarity, making her feel guilty for her sudden interrogation. Rainbow began to sob as all the ponies surrounded her in a hug. Pinkie was the first to step away. Then we must venture further. With Twilight behind us, there's no time to waste. I actually don't totally remember. Did I do the Chainsmoker voice for Pinkie in this one? I think I did. I could be wrong, though. And if I am, I'm sorry, but that's the voice I'm doing. I hope you guys are happy with that. And if you're not, too bad. Hours were spent walking and silently grieving as the ponies slowly made their way to Canterlot. They walked for a full day without any attacks, which allowed them to see a gleam of hope for being able to make it to Canterlot. They went to Canterlot and began to feel hope, for they were in Canterlot. Now, it will take one more night to get to Canterlot. I'm seeing the future. After another rough night around the campfire, the ponies were awoken by Zecora. If Twilight Sparkle is out there stalking, we must start the day by walking. Gather your things and begin your trot. It should only take one more night to get to Canterlot. You mean this whole mess is almost over? Rarity asked. Poor Rarity. She has no idea. Zecora just shook her head. We are almost at our destination, but that does not mean it will solve our situation. The princesses might not be able to cure the infected, but we can still ask for help, as expected. So, even if we ask the princesses for help, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll know how to save every pony? Zecora nodded her head, stunned at the denseness of the other pony. I'm kidding, that wasn't in the script. I apologize. And they fell into a tense silence. Well, if all else fails, Pinkie started, we can at least find the pony responsible for this. Rainbow, you said you ordered those cookies from Canterlot, so that means the culprit must be a baker from there. With the princess's help, I say they should be executed for all the lives they took. Or better yet, whoever did this deserves to rot inside a stone prison with no windows or doors for the rest of their life. Pinkie's like, I've got an idea. They should be executed and made to suffer. Make them suffer, Rainbow. This made Rainbow's stomach sink. The old Pinkie Pie would have never muttered anything as dark as that. She used to believe an enemy was just a friend you hadn't made yet. Although, none of their past enemies ever did anything remotely close to this. I mean, I feel like some of the bad guys tried to do pretty crazy stuff. Like Discord, when he first showed up in the show and what he did to them and how he changed the landscape of the entire world, that's pretty close, right? Maybe I'm misremembering. I also know, like, the show, similar to Divine Swamp Fever's basic premise, right? Like, the show will like, the premise of it will be kind of disturbing if you think about it too hard, but within the context of the show, it's, like, very lighthearted and they're joking around. So for example, Discord making Rarity fall in love with a massive rock thinking that it's a diamond, or getting Applejack to lie to her friends using like magic talking puppeted apples that look like demons from hell, you know, like in the show it's kind of presented as silly and lighthearted. If you were to take those same ideas and present them in this sort of horror AU format, I think they would take on a much darker tone, potentially even darker than zombies. What do I know, though? Night eventually draped over them again, and with every pony too exhausted to venture further, it was decided that they should get some rest. As the ponies were settling down and Zecora started a fire, Rainbow pulled out her journal. I don't know if I'll be able to sleep tonight. Regret and grief are swimming through my head. Did I do the right thing? No, I didn't. And that's why I'm lying about it to my friends. Damn, she had an answer to that real quick. Did I do the right thing? No, I didn't. I love journals. They're very silly. All I could do after my lies was cry for the loss of my best friend. Every pony else had their fair share of tears today as well. I just hope that wherever Applejack is now, she's at peace and seeing her family again. Rainbow tucked her tattered journal under her wing after writing out her thoughts and laid her head down for sleep. Rarity awoke to the sound of sniffling. She lifted her head and cracked an eye open, adjusting to the darkness. Oh no, I got apprehensive all of a sudden. I'm scared. Scootaloo? The Crusader had fallen asleep by Rarity's side that night and was now crying in her sleep. It may have been Rarity's fuzzy eyes or the gleam of the dimming campfire, but Scootaloo's tears seemed to glisten rainbow. Rarity was awake now and nudged Scootaloo. Darling, hey, wake up. It's okay. Scootaloo squirmed and groaned, cracking her eyes open. Princess Luna? The gleam of rainbow in her eyes disappeared as she looked at Rarity, and Scootaloo's gaze widened, and she screamed as she looked over the unicorn's shoulder. Rarity turned around and was met with a giant hunched figure of unrecognizable horrors. Holy shit, dude, this is crazy. Look at that thing. Look at the, veins crawling through its neck. The two ponies screamed as the hunched infected lifted its front hooves to attack, quickly stopped by Rarity's magic force field. The screaming awoke the other ponies around the campfire. Pinky stood. What in Tartarus? That doesn't look like any of the other infected. The bulky monster slammed its hooves down on Rarity's force field. Rainbow's blood ran cold as she heard distant laughter behind her. Deep within the darkness of the forest, a loud thudding of hooves, accompanied by dead laughter, was rapidly approaching them. Ha, 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 ha. Sensing twilight, Rarity whipped her horn in a circle, expanding her small force field into a gigantic magic bubble around the ponies. I don't think she's going to be able to keep that up for very long. Twilight ran in to attack, slamming her head into Rarity's magical barrier at full impact. Rarity screamed at the pain of her spell being challenged by two monsters. She's never used magic this advanced before, and the ponies knew they had only seconds before their protection was gone. The horn! Pinky exclaimed. Zecora, use your horn! Zecora quickly fished her yak horn from her saddlebag and blew it with her full chest at the monster's twilight. The monster shrieked in pain, rearing its head back before slamming its horn against Rarity's force field. A bright white burst emitted from the creature's horn, electrifying Rarity's spell and into her horn. Oh no. Rarity screamed in agony, tears streaming down her face. The unicorn looked up at the monsters challenging her spell. Her ears were filled with Twilight's dead laughter. Ha, 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 as well as screams from the second monster. The unknown shrieking rattled in Rarity's head until it clicked. Rarity screamed herself and forced the largest surge of magic she had ever used. A bright blue glow burst through her horn and out of the force field as it exploded, the two monsters shrieking in pain as they were suddenly engulfed in bright blue flames. The force field disappeared, as well as the infected, who ran off into the forest in opposite directions, the light of the blue flames following them until they were gone. Every pony could finally catch a breath. They ran away, Pinky confirmed, making everyone feel a bit more at ease. Rarity! Pinky turned to look at Rarity before she gasped. I called it. This is not going to go well. Rarity! Your horn! Rarity stood, stiff and heaving, her entire body shaking at what had just happened. Staring off into the distance of where the bulkier infected ran, Rarity's horn was shattered. Light blue sparks emanated from the cracks for a few seconds before dissipating. A long streak of blood trailing down the middle of her face and down her muzzle. Rarity did not know her horn was broken. She ignored the throbbing headache as she stared into the forest. Only one thought was plaguing her. That was Applejack. Holy fuck, dude. It's so cool. That was awesome. That was really... I'm really enjoying the the writing. In my opinion, the writing has improved. I mean, the original writing was cool too, but I don't know. I'm more drawn into it this time around. And that was technically chapter 12, I guess, or part 12. And there's another chapter still. I don't think the story is totally finished yet. But when Anxiety Monster messaged me and was like, "Hey, do you want to check this out?" And I looked, and it was a decent length. I was like, why not? Hell yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, eventually, if it turns into a total of 3 videos covering this series, or even more, depending on how long it is, I can, after some time has passed, I can like put them all together into one compilation video and put that out. So it'll be easier to peruse the whole collection. But also, as always, you should check out Anxiety Monster's social pages and go. I think this is now active on AO3 and also FimFiction. It has 9 likes on FimFiction, so like, y'all should go check it out. Anyways, now they know that Rainbow Dash was lying to them, which is great. Let's see what they do with that information. You lied! Pinkie Pie shoved Rainbow. Rainbow fluttered her good wing as she fell backwards. The ponies had found themselves in quite a quarrel after the most recent attack. Rarity's shattered horn was being treated and inspected by Zecora as Scootaloo cried between the two. After saving the group's lives, Rarity explained that the gargled screams of the second infected sounded exactly like Applejack. "I didn't lie. Applejack was bitten." "You said she was eaten." Rainbow slowly backed away from Pinkie as she kept angrily approaching her. Rainbow had never been so scared of her friend. What's the difference? I actually can think of a time when Rainbow was more scared of her friend. I know of a fic, thanks to you 6 sadistic people that made me read it. What's the difference? Rainbow felt a sharp slap to the face as Pinkie vigorously whipped her tail against her cheek, causing her to stumble to the ground. "Enough, both of you!" Rarity suddenly shouted, a bandage now wrapped around her forehead. "Applejack is dead and infected. That is for certain. There is no need to bicker like foals. Rainbow, you did tell us she was devoured by Twilight. Applejack was clearly not eaten, so you were obviously fibbing. What I don't understand is why." Rainbow rubbed her cheek with her good wing and shakily stood up. Rarity sighed. "Applejack would want you to tell the truth." "But she didn't, so why should I?" Pinkie whipped back to face Rainbow, making the Pegasus flinch. "What does that mean?" Rainbow was backed into a corner. Despite her friend's accusations and pleas, she didn't want to tell the truth, so she chose not to speak at all. Rainbow slumped to the dirt floor and started sobbing out sorries and "it's not my faults." Pinkie, filled with rage at Rainbow's deflective behavior, snorted loudly, stomped a hoof into the ground, and trotted in angry circles for a little while, so as not to separate from the group. After Rainbow stopped crying, she still refused to tell the story of Applejack's true demise, so the group gave up on interrogating her. After only 2 hours of walking, the ponies were out of the Everfree Forest. A distant thudding of large hooves could be heard far away from the group before eventually stopping once they were out of the forest. The ponies told themselves it was simply forest ambience to calm their nerves. It's probably not. Once out of the never-ending sea of trees, it was a rush of relief to see the clear sky once more. The sun in the sky was a gleam of hope, and, more importantly, the changing days meant that Celestia and Luna were still available for help. Unless they are infected and still controlling the sun and moon, almost to lure people to them. That would be pretty terrible. Canterlot could now finally be seen, the overflowing river stream gleaming rainbow in the sunlight. It was now only a few hours of uphill climb to reach the city. Rainbow cursed her hurt wing for not being able to fly up herself, but day by day, it was feeling better, adding another spark of hope in her chest. The gates of Canterlot crept closer to the ponies' view, filling their hearts with relief, as if seeing a white light at the end of the tunnel. What's it called? I found it. As if seeing a white light from the mouth of infinity, which is the best album by that band by a lot. Sue me. I know a lot of people disagree, but it's such a cool album. And it's like very consistent. A lot of the other Swans material has moments that I feel they just are quite long. Like they're cool, but it's very difficult for repeat listening, whereas White Light from the Mouth of Infinity is such a powerful album. Anyways, sorry to talk about gothic rock period Swans in your My Little Pony video. I'll do better next time. Rainbow, as if seeing a white light at the end of the tunnel, started running towards the gates. The other exhausted ponies were having a bit of trouble keeping up. Rainbow, slow down, Rarity shouted. Rainbow turned her head as she was running to look at Rarity. Come on, slowpokes, we're practically there. When she turned forward, she stopped so quickly her knees buckled. Oh no, look at that. Oh, it's so goopy looking. Rainbow's scream alerted the rest of her team to quickly follow her, despite them literally 2 seconds ago not being able to keep up. Rainbow, stop. I wish Rainbow's characterization in this is extremely selfish. And I think I commented on that in the original video, but like, it's just nonstop, dude. Rainbow gawked at the pony in front of her. The pony was very clearly Minuet, or at least it used to be. Her eyes and mouth were wide open as rainbow liquid dripped from her sockets and jaw. The ponies all stood in silent fear at the sight, but it was clear Minuet wasn't moving. She was still as a statue. I'm confused. Which one is Minuet? And am I pronouncing the name correctly? I may not be. Let me figure that out. I am apparently saying it correctly, and also the reason I'm saying it right is because it's a social dance, and I am familiar with dance. I am not familiar with the character from the show. Who is this? One of Twilight's friends before she moved to Ponyville, and she makes her first appearance in the pilot episode of the series and has a few speaking roles. Okay, cool. Okay, so she's like a statue, though. That's what we just learned. Pinky equipped her flashlight and attempted to shine it in the unicorn's eyes, but couldn't see anything besides overflowing rainbow liquid. So wait, is it like a statue creature with liquid dripping down? That's so disconcerting. Wow. I really like that imagery. Rainbow took a few careful steps back. What happened to her? Where did she come from? I swear she wasn't here when I was running to the gate. Zecora hummed. The terrible virus must have somehow spread to Canterlot. We must make it to the princesses, so I suggest we begin our trot. Well said, Zecora. The ponies kept their distance from Minuet and carefully walked around her. The roads of Canterlot were blotched with rainbow puddles. We all must carefully watch our step, unless we want to become the next infect. At Zecora's command, all the ponies watched their steps to avoid dipping their hooves in rainbow puddles. A sudden thudding of hooves echoed behind them, and the ponies quickly whipped their heads around. Rarity shrieked as Minuet was now inches from her muzzle. She moved. She was going to attack me, but why didn't Weeping Angels? Zecora spoke. I had studied Dr. Hoove's adventure texts, and he described a monster of a similar hex. The creature, still as a statue when looked by the eye, but once your gaze is away, you will surely die. That is creepy as hell. I really like the some of the ideas in this follow-up. It's like one of the ghosts from Mario, where if you look at them, they stop moving towards you, and if you turn away, then they start coming to bite your ass or whatever. All the ponies gulped in fear at what lies beyond the city's gates. Pinky looked up at the giant tower that was Canterlot Castle. Rarity, keep your eyes on Minuet. We all need to walk in a tight circle, flank to flank, every pony having an eye in each direction. And that includes you, Scoot. Pinky nudged Scootaloo off her back where she had been resting. Scootaloo gulped in fear, legs quivering as soon as they touched the pavement. All right, let's go. On Pinky's word, the ponies moved northeast towards the castle. The group crept very slowly, Rarity keeping her eyes on the weeping Minuet, doing her best to mimic her friend's hoofsteps to step over the puddles. Once deeper into Canterlot, the aftermath of the virus was revealed. A sea of rainbow puddles bled through the streets. Skeletal remains of gutted and eaten ponies were strewn about, but worst of all were the infected. Weepers had taken over Canterlot. Ponies with rainbow draining from their eyes and mouths stood frozen throughout the city. Dash's eyes darted between corpses, rainbow puddles and the infected. Every eye movement would cause a weeper to move a joint slightly in their direction. Keep watching them, girls. Try not to blink, and blink fast if you have to, Pinky ordered. Pinky told Zecora, being in the front of the pack, to lead them to the castle and away from puddles. Scootaloo's breathing started to quicken before Dash let her wing droop next to her. Scootaloo taking hold of Rainbow's wing with her own for comfort. Dude, I really like the imagery here. This is so fun and cool. It's reminding me a little bit. Has any of y'all seen the movie that was like a follow-up to The Wizard of Oz called called like Return to Oz. There's an evil witch lady who takes her head off and replaces it with other heads. It's a very, very strange movie, but honestly I almost like it more than the original Wizard of Oz. But there's a part where they're in this like ruined city pretty early on in the movie, actually, and instead of the Weepers, there's the Wheelers. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go look it up. You would probably like it. I feel like anyone who watches my channel, y'all would enjoy Return to Oz. It's a very, very cool, weird movie that I think is super underrated. And at one point, and I don't know if I'm still going to do it, but I was scripting a video about dark fantasy movies, like Dark Crystal and stuff like that, just as an aesthetic dark fantasy, because I've been seeing it's had like a resurgence. People are very interested in it on TikTok and Instagram and whatnot, and I wanted to just make a video kind of like my video about body horror movies, going over the aesthetic and some cool movies in the genre, and I was planning on including it. Maybe I'll return to the video script at some point. I never finished it. Let me know if you'd watch that down below. Anyways. Scootaloo's breathing started to quicken before Dash let her wing droop next to her. Scootaloo taking hold of Rainbow's wing with her own for comfort. See, I like that. I'm glad that we have moments that humanize Rainbow Dash despite all of the cowardly or fearful or disingenuous or arrogant actions that the character has taken in this AU. It took hours to reach the castle, carefully stepping over puddles, barely blinking, keeping eyes on every weeper around them. It was a traumatizing experience. The group eventually reached the castle, only to find out that it had more infected ponies than any other spot in Canterlot. It appeared that they had attempted to storm the castle at some point, but something was keeping them out. The group made their way to the castle's entrance, only to find that it was locked. Figures they'd want to lock up. Who knows if Celestia and Luna are even inside? It makes sense for them to escape Canterlot themselves. What if this was all for nothing? Rarity began to spiral, blue sparks emitting from her broken horn. We will not know for sure until we find out what's behind this door, Zecora said. Pinkie Pie, you have experience moving rock. If we both buck the door, perhaps we can break the lock? Pinkie nodded, her and Zecora working in unison to buck the castle's doors while the other ponies kept their eyes on the infected. After what felt like dozens of failed attempts, they accepted that it wouldn't budge. Pinkie and Zecora slumped to the concrete in defeat. Realizing they had to find another way to get in, Pinkie started looking around to see if there were any close windows they could break, until she saw a pair of bloodshot eyes staring at her from inside the castle. Hey, guys, there's a royal guard inside. He looks uninfected. Rarity turned her head to look, before realizing that she was looking away from the weeping ponies in front of her. Wheeling her head back, she expected to be muzzle to muzzle with a monster, but none of the infected ponies moved even an inch. Rarity looked back at the window and realized there was a guard occupying every window in the castle. Oh, and the eyes are bloodshot. That's awful, dude. Oh, God, wow. I think they're all staring at the infected so they don't get inside. If the guards don't want them inside the castle, that must mean they're protecting Celestia and Luna, Rainbow excitedly exclaimed at the realization. Rainbow turned to the guards in the window and started flailing her hooves. Hey, please let us in. We come in peace. Clicking noises from behind the doors alerted the ponies before it opened just a crack. A white unicorn with glasses peeked out, only a little. The spirits of harmony. Thanks, Celestia, you're here. The pony stopped for a moment, studying each of the characters in front of her. She crept back a little once she got a look at Pinkie's rainbow muzzle. You're sure you're all healthy and weren't followed? Rarity looked over her shoulder at the statues of infected. It's a little difficult not to be followed here, but none of us are infected. The pony was hesitant, but eventually let them all inside. They trotted through the empty castle as they followed the unicorn, one of the first non-infected ponies they had seen in a while. What about the guards that we just saw 2 seconds ago? I'm sure you are all here after receiving the letter Princess Celestia had sent you. The ponies puzzled silently. When there was no answer, the unicorn looked back at them. The one she sent Princess Twilight Sparkle? The ponies' faces dropped, and the unicorn slowed her trot. Oh, I see. There was barely any talking oh my God. Editor, don't show it yet, but guys, I just got a glimpse at the next piece of art, and that's so horrible. Oh boy. That's amazing. What? And the bloodshot eyes. God, we're gonna get to it. Give it a second. Let it ride. Let it ride. There was barely any talking after that. As they moved further into the castle, they noticed that every window was occupied by a royal guard staring outside. I suppose the guards were ordered to watch the infected ponies outside? Rarity asked. The unicorn replied, yes. When the disease began to spread, it spread like wildfire. Those who were infected by dreams quickly attacked the ponies around them. We were quick to discover that looking at them keeps them still, though we still have yet to come up with a cure. Hold on, Rainbow Dash interrupted. Did you say infected through dreams? The ponies arrived at 2 large double doors that led into yet another hallway, but this time, it wasn't only occupied by guards. Oh my god. The art is so cool. And to describe it for people who are just listening to the video, we see Princess Celestia and Luna in a staring competition. Luna is clearly infected and has the goopy liquid rainbow pouring out of the eyes and mouth and a puddle forming beneath her. Her horn has also turned rainbow and the eyes are like totally red. And she's just standing there with her jaw hanging open, just this kind of disturbing dead stare, almost like she's a statue. Directly in front of her, however, we see Celestia, bloodshot, watery eyes wide, and her horn active, staring directly at Luna, and obviously somehow containing. How horrible to have to do that to your own sister, right? And that's it. That's the conclusion. That's as far as the story has gone so far. I'm really enjoying it. I really like the direction that it has gone. I really added a sense of like this scale of a world. That was awesome. There's an author's note. Thank you all so much for your patience and interest in this series. The series is clearly not over yet, so please be patient while I finish it up for you all. Special thanks to Comet Cascade, Feather, Horrors, and many volunteers on the FimFic Discord for reading and reviewing these chapters beforehand. And yeah, that's the Cookie Virus, part 12 and 13 by Anxiety Monster. Thank you guys so much for joining me. As always, this was awesome. Appreciate you for being here. Again, check out the artists' stuff down below in the description. Follow them all over the place. Give them $1 million. I just told you this. And thank you again, Anxiety Monster. Really appreciate you letting me know. That was super cool of you. Thank you, etc., etc. As always, come find me on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, other places. I have a link tree in the description. Bunch of links. Follow me because I'm hilarious. I have great music taste, and I will attack you if you don't. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next transmission. And final thank you, I would like to welcome Ellie Rose. Thank you for joining the enablers over on Patreon. And in no particular order, thanks to all the patrons: Rue, Nervous, Cupid, Delphi, Joe, Bug, Linty, Paper, Gun, Draco, Kyojin, Dayton, Dark Beast, Bile, Coyote, Batnoise, Phoenix Bees, Amelia, Thomas, Justin, Dave, Tom, Elkie, Stardrop, Nude, Joseph, Mr. Fox, George, Boris, Kim, Rotten, Desemiotic, Jasper, Harry, Dugan, Z, and Ellie.